Welcome back, everyone, to Seaweed Brain, a Percy Jackson podcast in our penultimate Sea of Monsters episode. Toot toot vroom. We're back on the Princess Andromeda. We have a special guest returning to talk to us about the good word of our Lord Kronos. Have you heard it today? Come step inside our office. Welcome, everyone, back to Seaweed Brain. My name is Erica, joined as always by my co-host Carter. What's up, Carter?
Hi, hello.
Carter coming to us live with a plosive screen for the first time ever. Go ahead and say Percy Jackson 5 times.
Percy Jackson. Percy. Wow.
I hope that worked. Oh, we are welcoming back Sophia to help us talk about episode 207 today. What's up, Sophia?
Hi, I'm glad to be back. I have indeed heard the good news about our Lord and Savior Kronos.
We are so happy to be here, but also sad, for it is episode 207, and that means that Percy Jackson Wednesdays are coming to an end. Oh wait, no, this just in. I'm getting a message. We're going to continue Percy Jackson Wednesdays for the foreseeable future because we have tons and tons of interviews that we're going to release every week. Amazing. Watch this space. We've got Andrew McElroy, acting coach. We've got Jules O'Loughlin, and that's just the first two lined up for the next couple Wednesdays after the show stops airing. So there's lots of good stuff. No need to be sad just yet. Think about the good word of our good Lord Kronos and feel no more sadness. Let his kintsugi golden light guide you in the darkness. Before we dive into this episode today, as always, we must thank our sustaining patrons, Izzy, James, Ellen, and my mother, Jennifer. And we also have to thank some of our new patrons, Mihika, Hayden, Rianne, Madison, Nicole, Amanda, and Jaden. We have watch parties still. If you are listening to this as soon as it comes out, we've got tonight, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and next week for our finale. If you join our Patreon, we're going to release our watch throughs of the first time that we watched and reacted to these episodes, because Carter and I went to the extra step of recording ourselves so we could have that forever in our own memory, and also for y'all to witness us screaming, cackling, crying, trying to predict the end of every episode as we watch them together for the first time. And those are going on the Patreon too. So lots of good stuff. Hop in, patreon.com/seaweedbrain. It has been such a special joy to experience this season together with our patrons. And like, if at any point, like any corner of the internet, TikTok was really frustrating me with like Percy Jackson fandom takes, it was so peaceful to go and join the Discord and have really interesting, nuanced conversations about everything that takes place in this season. All right, last episode, y'all, we had the time of our lives. Sophia, how did 206 rank for you? Because Carter and I firmly felt episode 206 was our favorite episode of the season.
You know what? I think that was actually my favorite episode to watch. It goes like, don't touch her! Don't touch her! The crash out from the cave, the confrontation with Clarice about you just killed Camp. Oof. I like seeing Percy suffer. I think Percy Jackson's at his best when Percy is suffering.
Yes! And that's why we're all looking forward to season 3.
Exactly. That's just pure crash out. I can't wait.
So we may not be getting a ton of Percy Jackson crash out this week, but we are going to get Luke crash out. Welcome back to the Princess Andromeda, everybody. Last week, we gave the fleece to Luke, so now we need to go and get it back. Unless your name is Percy Jackson, in which case the only thing you care about, your priority, dare I say, is getting Annabeth Chase back. So we need to both get Annabeth and the fleece back. That is the mission we are on for this episode. We need to finish this quest after the massive roadblock that Percy put in front of it. And we're going to think a lot about Kronos. We need to have a very specific revisitation on the Kronos army before our battle in episode 8.
I think that we're going to learn more about Kronos, but I would say that it isn't all ideological, because to me, this is also the first episode where we get a good sense for how Kronos is not the same as Luke's ideal, equitable, revolutionary vision for the future. We're going to see the cracks there, both in Luke's relationship with Kronos and in terms of how he is actually building his movement outside of just a vision he's presenting to Luke. We're going to see it with the other demigods. We're going to see it in his specific instructed behavior, that he is not necessarily going to build for us an equitable utopia of demigods, mythics, mortals hanging out, having a good time.
In our outline here, I'm seeing it in green text. It's written, we actually went beyond The Last Jedi and the Blue Spirit. So there. Care to explain, Carter?
After we watched 206, I think the reaction was, wow, that was so good. We really got to see Luke be vulnerable and to put himself into a space of engaging substantively with other people and having I think in some respects an open mind to do things that he didn't necessarily plan to do. And I feel like in this episode, we're ratcheting that up even harder, which is surprising. It is genuinely, I think, a difficult structural move to be able to have Luke be asking even more questions and being even further adrift from that sort of firm, unmistakable alignment with all of the other antagonistic forces arrayed in the show. But we're doing it. We're being bold.
The other huge thing that this episode is pitching to us, which also happens to be a big change from the book, is Thalia. Once again, saying to us, hey, she's about to come back. Remember her. Let's think one more time about what side we think she would be on. And you can make your little decision in your head because she's about to show up next week. Taking away that little reveal and in favor of further solidifying these pillars of the broken trio, being able to more specifically and mindfully speak about the linchpin that Thalia is in the most important question that Erica has been asking for months now about this season, which is what would it take for Annabeth to join Luke? I think that that question is in itself a defense of this choice to cut the reveal and the surprise, because the reveal and the surprise is fun for people who've never, seen the show before. But more importantly, I want to know the answer to the question. What would it take for Annabeth to join Luke? And we can't really answer that question and have a conversation about that question unless we are actively talking about bringing Thalia back.
Although I will say, I think in this episode, we're not just asking that, we're also asking the question, what would it take for Luke to join Annabeth?
Yes, I think that's a good question.
That's what Craig said, right? That goes both ways.
Which what I love about it is that we are seeing the fact that, which is so nice to leave Percy's perspective, is that Luke is, like I said, isn't fully aligned.
Yeah.
And that we're giving Annabeth way more weight in her influence on Luke, not just Luke's influence on her, as we kind of saw at 206, how Luke was, potentially using Annabeth to get their location, stuff like that. Annabeth itself is equally as influential and as impactful to Luke's positioning on this dichotomy. I think the question of memory and the positioning of Annabeth and Luke's memory of Thalia is so fascinating. They're exploring here the whole season, even the ownership of Thalia's memory, because Luke's like, you weren't there, you were just there for the last bit of it, and how that ownership, I think, entitles him or Annabeth to their own position on where they stand on this Kronos debate.
And overall, this is just segueing us into the Titan's Curse so well.
Yes,
I think this is such a great penultimate episode because we have a lot of really juicy emotional, ideological, where do we stand conversations, and also some fun, juicy fighting, and most importantly, above all else, blackjack.
This is all we came here for. Blackjack. We were all here.
I started this podcast for blackjack.
He needed him to speak in his New York accent, but I was like, it's okay. It's okay.
More on that later. Shall we just get into it? Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
Carter, let's open up with some really darkness.
Yes, we cold open on Half-Blood Hill, and it is genuinely really difficult to figure out what's happening. There are some flashes of light, and I guess that effect comes through in the sense that I can only tell what's happening when there is an individual blast of lightning that briefly illuminates things. It's Thalia. It's Luke and Annabeth. It's the Furies. We're on the hill. We've almost made it.
Let's do some Sophia Rain's Jenny K. Jaw in defense of this lighting storytelling analysis. Annabeth doesn't know.
Yes.
The past and the memories are unclear. It's hard to see through to the truth of what really happened in these final moments.
The glimpses, these flashing moments, she only has just segments of memory, figments, if not.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it is also interesting that what we do see, two key details. One, Annabeth and Luke are going off together. He's grabbing her by the hand and pulling her along away while Thalia is walking off in the other direction. And B, we see the Furies looking maybe scary. I don't know, it's hard to see. But in the cleanest shot we get of them, they are standing in a line. And we get this basically profile shot of everybody arrayed along the hill where the Furies aren't actively attacking. It looks like there's maybe a negotiation or something happening between them. They're having a conversation before, presumably, maybe in our guess, they're attacking her or starting the fight or whatever. But we don't see that. We see a moment that happens before that. And then we don't see anything else. As Luke in flashback and Annabeth in present day both point out, we literally don't know what happened. We're there the next morning, and there's suddenly a tree that Chiron is confusingly, unsatisfyingly, emotionally, unawarely explaining to the children.
Ooh, who thinks that next week we're going to see Zeus turn her into the tree in a flashback that will most certainly be illuminating, but piss me off because it's going to make me want to sympathize with Zeus.
Zeus propaganda.
I'm just going to say, we're going to put the flag down now. You're not going to get me. I don't care what the flashback has. You're not going to get me. We're not going to be Team Zeus. Wait, you should share what the evidence is. And the evidence is maybe a little bit of a cheat, but it is out there in the world. This is an insider tea.
We haven't seen Courtney B. Vance yet?
Yes.
That we haven't seen Courtney B. Vance. That's step one. And step two is the soundtrack, where... What is the final track name?
Honestly, part of my soul wishes that we didn't release the soundtrack until the entire season was out, even though it's been very helpful for me as a person and as a fan. I'm really enjoying listening to it all the time. The second to last track on the Bear McCreary soundtrack is What Really Happened. Don't you think we're gonna see what really happened?
And it's maybe gonna be a surprise.
And since it's a family story, I'm gonna have to sympathize with Zeus.
I think we should at this point keep ourselves unspoiled, but I feel like it's giving, it's a family story. We're gonna bind together, which I don't know. That all being said, we were talking before this about recently watching No Other Choice. And let me tell you, I came out of that movie being like, yes, I love family, murder more people, get them. So I don't know, maybe it's not curtains for Zeus, but we'll be watching that space.
We will be watching this space.
And the delivery of teenage Luke on this hill.
Yes.
Not having any of it.
Charlie Bushnell, come get your Emmy because you looked 14 here. Getting to see him in full light with the freckles of youth, with the full wig, underneath that beanie, with the posture. I was like, whoa, he really does look de-aged. Very impressive work all around.
What does that mean? Where's her body?
That is such a good question.
I love that. No, I love that.
Felt that delivery.
Like, it really hammers in, I think, this lack of like, not like she's dead, but it's like, like, where's the body when someone's died? Like, there's nothing to even mourn, nothing to like bury, nothing to remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, like Zeus is taking that away from him. It's like, he can't even bury her. He can't like this is almost like desecrating the body. It's like desecration of the body. It's just, beautiful.
And Chiron's out here trying to spread the good word of our Lord Zeus, saying that in his honorable, goodness and generosity, Thalia made the ultimate sacrifice, and Zeus honored her by giving her a new form of life. And Luke's like, what does that mean? What the frick are you talking about? And here, Luke is hearing this for the first time, and we are hearing this knowing full well that Luke is about to make the ultimate sacrifice and that Kronos is going to give him a new form of life. And once again, the tragedy of Luke thinking he is defying this overbearing system and simply falling into the trap of the other one. The OG, the one who did it worse and better.
Is it mercy to be turned into a tree?
No!
Is it better to die?
What's in that flashback.
I really wanted to see this flashback so much. And it's like, what is mercy? What is mercy just to be letting me die? Kill me now. Don't let me like prolong my life as a plant.
My really mature, critical thinking, podcaster, analysis brained person who respects deeply all the writers, showrunners, and creators of the show. I'm going to watch this flashback with like open arms and open mind. But in my deepest heart of hearts, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I don't care what he has to say. There's a beautiful parallel in this shot of Thalia standing alone in the exact spot that's about to become where her tree grows, facing the three Furies alone while Annabeth and Luke watch. In season 1, Percy went out with the head of Medusa to destroy Meghalali, while Annabeth is inside of the house watching. And what that does for me is, aside from Thalia and Percy being the same, which we already knew, is it really brings to the forefront the absence of Luke for Annabeth. Like in these two situations, Thalia and Percy are interchangeable, but what's missing is Luke. And it's so valuable to think about everything in Annabeth's life after Thalia gets turned into a tree is not only absent Thalia, but it's also absent Luke. And like what we were talking about with the idea of him knowing about Cult Half-Blood, his entire upbringing, and going to Camp Half-Blood anyway, and whether or not he was scheming the whole time, like what that whole transition was like for him, that he was in some effects unreachable and unknowable and unhavable to her from the moment Thalia left.
I think that's true.
That she lost both of her parents in one fell swoop. That mirror, that like remembrance at the very beginning of this episode is important to remind us why Annabeth is going to continue to try so hard to get Luke back to her side.
Mhm.
I think this is really the moment, the divide, because it's hard to tell in this flashback if when the tree starts glowing, if that's just the fleece or if that's something that Annabeth really felt in that moment as a kid. And I kind of felt like the line blurs. But in that moment, like Luke, like I was saying, I think I told you, Erica, like this Luke can only see the physical and the present, but Annabeth is really more in line with the spiritual idea of Thalia and this more saint deification of her. And there's a split because Luke can't see past the physical reality of that. Her body is gone. But I mean, we go religion, like the body of Christ and spirit is all in us, blah blah blah. But like Annabeth can recognize that Thalia's essence is still alive in this tree. That Thalia has, it's just been transformed in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
That Luke is just stuck permanently in the state of grief. He's permanently stuck in the state of loss.
Yeah, which is interesting too, because if you think about the religion aspect in their relationship with their parents, who are gods, Annabeth never loses faith in her mom,
Exactly.
right? In praying to her mom, she has that religious relationship, and Luke has none.
Church girl, all the way. I've always said this in my subtext. Annabeth
Yes,
is a church girl.
read Sophia's Substack.
The religious through line of Annabeth, which I think is so fascinating because I think it's this shift from the book, well, from Percy's perspective of Annabeth wisdom being purely like very logical, like pragmatic. That this wisdom is also more spiritually and more religious sense if we see in the show, and especially in the conversation with Luke. There's this more of this. I guess it wasn't as necessarily just facts, but it's belief, and there is this higher order of thinking that she has, which I think is so beautiful to see utilized in the season, but I think especially in this episode as also a tool for her, not just like I believe blindly in the gods, but this belief I think is also in Thalia and how like she's trying to influence Luke through this belief.
Everyone is trying to out missionary everybody else in this episode. This is the episode of the religious pitch.
They're knocking on your doors at the same time.
Back to the pamphlets.
And I think Luke can't out missionary Annabeth. I'm sorry, but like Annabeth is a believer through and through.
I think that people who don't understand that Annabeth is a church girl think that Luke could possibly out missionary her, but
like,
it's not true.
This girl's a church girl. Like, what would it take for Annabeth to join Luke? Nothing. I do think that girl like has her belief. She believes in her mom, believes in Thalia. Her belief in the people around her, versus Luke doesn't believe in anything except his own anger. His belief is in hatred or his animosity and his bitterness.
I think he's an ideologue, but that it's a more persuadable formulation.
It is. I do think it's born from this like grievance he has, and I think that's just the problem. If it's born from that, then it can be influenced.
I do think that is an interesting point, though, like to what you are both saying, that Luke doesn't believe in Kronos so much as he believes in his idea of a better future. And that is where the issue lies for him. Because if he truly only believed in Kronos, then he would not be experiencing what he's experiencing in this episode.
Exactly.
He would not be trying to get Annabeth back. He would not be like struggling with the more human side of himself, because he'd just be like, well, praise Kronos, like I am, fully committed to you. But he knows what Carter's saying, that Kronos and his ideal future are not actually 100% in line with each other. And it's his ideals that he believes in and prays to, and not actually Kronos at the end of the day.
That's the problem, because I don't think he has faith in people per se. The relationship that he has with the rest of the other demigods is kind of strange. It's not like he really fully trusts them. He doesn't like really confide in them. Yeah. And I think that's part of the issue, as we see that Percy brings up with Clarice, is like, you fail, you fly home alone if you don't trust friends. And this whole episode is like the whole thing. The prophecy goes two ways. It's about Clarice, but it's about Luke, and that's why he fails.
Part of the reason why Allison was such a great addition to the season is because we get to see through her that Luke doesn't have friends anymore. That Allison is not his friend, and therefore he has nobody to do the interlocking fatal flaw thing with to pull him back until the final moments of The Last Olympian.
But the thing is, like, did he ever try to make friends with people outside of Thalia after she died? That's my real question here. I think there's just so much, because like, just like you said,
probably not.
Luke, Luke has had no one since Thalia left.
Yeah.
He never sees Annabeth as truly as a friend, because he sees her as this little girl he's had to drag around.
And everyone else is recruits. Everybody else are new people to bring into the church.
Exactly.
The tree glows gold in Annabeth's dream, a la Kintsugi coffin that we will see later. This very stunning, mysterious, kind of slow voiceover from T. We got, hey kid, let's get out of here. We take care of our own. And then Annabeth comes to having a full like prophetess religious vision.
Literally.
And then we have the loud heel clack of evil as Allison comes and rips the fleece off of her and goes to present it to our Lord Kronos.
This is so funny to me because on some, like, we never get a clear shot of her. We know who it is because of a deep ingrained body physical understanding of what the heel clacks are and what they
Everybody
mean
get your
and what they
shot glasses
do.
ready. Get your dollars ready for the swear jars. Carter, go ahead and say it.
The heel clack is such a fascinating cultural object. It is
I thought
It
you were just
is.
going to say we love shout out to the Foley work. That's what I was setting you up for.
Oh, we love the Foley work.
Devil Wears Prada, heel clack, like
they're remarked upon in the Devil Wears Prada. I think a lot of people have strong associations with them with, say, secretaries or teachers or like women in like disrespected office work positions from your early childhood.
Allison is with the Joan of Batman to Luke's Don Draper.
She is the head secretary, assistant to the CEO
we have been
of
talking
the
about
Kronos
this very
Army.
girl-specific reading of Allison.
Yeah.
The heel clack being representative of a power, but also a stifling of power.
It is.
Yes.
Because I mean, she's on the ground. Like we saw, like the first opening shots of season 2. She's the one who's actually like getting, strangled by vines. She's on the boots. Luke is just in his like sweaters and his like
Luke, when was the last time you got strangled by a vine?
Exactly, like legitimately, like
in this scene, literally the heel clack is, I think, supposed to give us both a sense of competence and organization and workmanness, but also evil,
bitter.
Right? Like we're supposed to also interpret it insidiously, and there are some tough, I think, gender implications for that association that we're supposed to pull out of this. This is like a thing that's cited a lot in the economics of discrimination literature, that there are these stories of how orchestras would do blind chair tests, right? Like they have people come in, they play their passage, and you judge them just by ear and rank them based on that. The theory is that this would end gender discrimination in orchestras. However, it didn't originally. People were theorizing that because it didn't, it meant that there's a fundamental gender difference in talent. But what they had to do was force the women to come in flats because there was still other levels of discrimination based on gender, the social performance that they hadn't finished cleaning up.
Because they could hear their heels clicking?
Yeah.
They could hear their heels clicking. And they would know, like, the literature, it's not that clear if it's an explicit or an implicit bias, but whichever it is, they were able to deduce from the blind test, from the heels, that it was a woman, and they would get ranked lower. And now orchestras have the same style of thing, but everybody has to wear flats. And there is not really, at the level of seating within an orchestra or at the level of these types of blind auditions, there is not really a gender discrimination that is observable in the same way anymore. That was kind of a long tangent. That is all to say I had very strong feelings about the extent of the heel Foley used for Allison in this.
Also, if anyone is wondering why Carter knows this fact, Carter was first chair violin in the highest level symphony orchestra in our high school from freshman year through senior year. That is why Carter knows facts like this.
I also have been told by many people that they can hear me coming from several feet away because I have a heavy step and wear a heavy heel.
Yes, evil. Okay. With the Once Upon a Time theme, dun 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 dun, we are whisked off of the fleece and onto, Fisherman's Wharf of Long Island.
I tried to find a Fisherman's Wharf in the town Port Jefferson, which is a real town, and I don't think that there is one, and that's okay.
I was gonna move on to like the charm speak.
Oh yeah,
yes. This was fascinating.
One of the things I have been most excited to talk about this week was Aiden, our child
Aphrodite
of
boy.
Aphrodite boy. Wow, just the look of this man, from the hair to the costume, was triggering to me.
It's giving, you happen to be in Fide-Eye, and it's after a certain time of day. Yeah.
Yep. Terror. Everything down to the little lapel pin.
His hair.
Horrendous. The smirk.
The smirk. I was thinking about that. Ugh.
Wow.
The color of his like jacket's blazer, the blue with like it was a little
plaid. The specific weird color combination of the dark blue blazer with the khaki pants, it is sufficiently evocative of what we're supposed to be getting. Although I think he reads initially as very frat boy, and what we actually get from him is perhaps a different trope. Are we thinking the same thing? I feel like the trope is, I was going to say devious bisexual.
Oh, well, that is a child of Aphrodite. That might as well be the child of Aphrodite.
When he uses his charm speak, the way that this is introduced is where Clarice is telling him, don't try to use your charm speak on Percy, implying that his charm speak is working on Percy and not working on Clarice. Right? Clarice is the one holding him up against a refrigerator, beating him up, and saying, "Don't try that. It doesn't work on me, but how dare you try to use that on Percy?"
We need to revisit here for folks the book lore behind Charm Speak, which is maybe mentioned once and never again, which is that it only works on people who are like attracted to you. And so this is a very funny thing you could do and go through and read the Riordan verse books and be like, who's gay? Which is not by any means what Rick Riordan intended, but is a fun game nonetheless. My favorite line in this scene is, "Let's go somewhere and talk." Like, trying to, as he is pinned up against the wall, pitch and hand Percy Jackson a pamphlet. That level of commitment to the good word of our good Lord Kronos, stunning.
I mean, who else would be in the front lines? Like, we all know Luke in the Hermes cabins. I feel like no one would trust them to be handing out the pamphlets. You were gonna have the Aphrodite cabin as your corner preachers.
As somebody who periodically identifies as a child of Aphrodite, I was so excited to see Aiden in this episode. And also just, not that Rick Riordan himself isn't supervising all of this, but it was fun to be like, okay, writer's room reading Heroes of Olympus.
Right? I was so excited.
We get a Heroes of Olympus shout out. We're going to get a trial shout out, and we're going to get a lore drop from the Senior Year Adventures. This episode has everything.
We better.
It really does have everything. And even though we only saw him for 30 seconds, I thoroughly enjoyed Aiden, who really enjoyed being shoved, tied up.
I mean,
shout out to him.
They gag him. It's not like they can't gag people because of mouse rules. Literally, Grover was just gagged. Why did we not gag the Charm Speak boy?
I mean, I feel like he would like it. I think.
Is that why they didn't gag him? Because he would have liked it too much?
Unfortunately.
I think that's like.
And moving
Probably
on.
True.
Yes, this is our Trials of Apollo shout out. Grover going, I think the whole network is down. Regarding the reason why we can't iris message anybody. Let this be a reminder. Let this be a reminder. Demigods don't have cell phones for a reason. Cell phones ruin dramatic tension. We must always find a reason why we can't use our cell phones if we want to tell a good story.
Yes. Out of this, we do get our first... I guess this is like Percy's main storyline for the episode, right? We have him and Clarice arguing about what happens next. We have Aiden's little key card.
Wait, can you talk about how Aiden just gave up a lot of information very quickly? I was kind of disappointed.
I don't think he's a true believer either. Aiden, to me, is giving...
I was here for the vibes.
Wanted a paycheck.
Wanted a paycheck, along for the ride. So he's watching them squabble and giggling to himself. But the squabble here is between Clarice and Percy, and it's an extension of what we saw in the last episode, right? We again have the dual objectives. That hasn't gone away. Their fleece is on the boat, and Annabeth is on the boat.
Who do we go for first?
Who do we go for first? How do we structure the plan and prioritize?
I think what's the issue is cooperation.
Yes.
Because the thing is, Annabeth has always been, I think, the glue between, again, talking about equal forces colliding. That's here we see this with Clarice and Percy. Both very strong-willed, very similar sibling energy as seen online.
Very stubborn. Both very stubborn.
Stubborn sibling energy. And it is true that Annabeth knows how to talk to Clarice in a way where they can actually communicate, come to consensus about things. And Percy really just, I don't think he's trying that hard even.
No, he doesn't.
Certainly that's not what's happening in this scene. Clarice doesn't respect him enough to try to get all that out of him.
Because like you had the fleece, you had everything, you could save camp, and he just gave it to the enemy.
No, Clarice is right. In this scene, everything that she's doing is correct. When she takes the card, when she slams him on the ground, when she says, we're not letting her foolishness get in the way this time again. Check.
Give Unfortunately. Me all those things. Oh, even as resident Perciveth professors, you cannot stop us from siding with Clarice.
No.
We're gonna side with the mean girl at all times.
Because Percy is just doing Percy. Like, Clarice has facts.
They're both making the right decisions for them, and also she's stronger and more trained than he is.
She is.
First of all, when Percy goes, maybe your prophecy was right. I know we all gasped. That was nuts.
I really was like, that's not acceptable.
No.
That's not how you speak to a lady.
No, Percy did this in season 1. He did this in season 1 to Annabeth. Like, I chose you because I didn't imagine we ever being friends. He needs to back off. In
this situation, I specifically was like, Percy, that's a HIPAA violation. You're not supposed to know that information.
It's the same thing that Grover did to her the previous episode.
There's been a lot of HIPAA violations. There's been a lot of people being like, oh, I'm your therapist. Oh, I'm your bartender. Psych. I'm going to exploit you trying to be emotionally vulnerable and in touch with your feelings. Yeah.
The beginning of Dark Percy is using therapy speak against her.
toxic male. This is toxic male.
Toxic male.
Performative male.
Performative male. Dark Percy is actually performative male Percy.
Do you think that's like a court of appeals for these HIPAA violations for the Northern Prophecy that like Clarice can like bring her case to? Like
Not at Chiron's camp. Walking HIPAA violation.
Yes, just telling Annabeth and making her unable to tell Percy. You can't.
Who do you think Grover learned all this from? Like
chiripulating. Centipulating. Okay. What I do love though, post HIPAA violation, is that Percy goes, "You know why you're gonna fail? Because you pushed everyone away," and then she pushes him to the floor.
Again, pour one out for the Foley one more time. The sound and look of him slamming down, very satisfying.
Walker really is enjoying all the stunts. I mean, really went to stunt camp.
Ah, yes. And now Percy's going to give us a little B-plot team up for Grover and Tyson. Let's put the sneaky third choice gray area, they, them, non-binary option to the test, everybody. If you are listening to this episode and this is the first ever episode of Seed Brain you've ever listened to, I cannot explain anything. You need to go back and listen to every episode.
Spirits. We love nature spirits. We love dissolution of binaries. Let's say that.
Yes. Let's clock back in on Luke having second thoughts. Somewhere in the distance, I hear a faint sound. What is that sound? It's Daphne Olive cackling somewhere, giggling in Los Angeles at this shot of Luke twirling Annabeth's knife. That's the cursed blade. Let's think further about the cursed blade that hero's soul shall reap. Let's think about that blade being in Luke's hands. In a moment from now, he's going to say, like, things always end up where they belong.
He's also going to say it was mine first.
Okay, childish. Like,
yeah, I cannot say how much this is going to resonate with other people. To me, if we are to level some sort of critique against the way that the Great Prophecy is structured, a lot of it feels a little late. To me, if this is supposed to be the prophecy that's structuring all of the books, Annabeth's blade is a site of importance, but it's only really a site of importance to her as far as we know in most of the early books. We don't really see Luke having any kind of special look at it, and the idea of it being cursed, I think, is introduced relatively late. Like, basically, all those flashbacks happen in the last book of them being on the run together and watching Luke promise that no harm will come to her and all those things. We need this. We need someone at the back of the writer's room talking constantly about the Great Prophecy and giggling. And we got it.
Insert photo here of me with Daphne in the Andrew McElroy classroom. I am holding the cursed blade up to the sign that says the Great Prophecy in all caps. I will repost it just for this week's episode. Oh, good times.
I think this is a great parallel. And I know I said this on Threads, how like Percy is more like Luke than he just wants to admit. Like, we're having the exact same parallel with Clarice and Percy here, because it's a question of priorities.
Yes. It is
Clarice.
Absolutely the same conversation. It's about what, like, boy is trying to prioritize Annabeth, and the true believer is trying to rein it in.
Exactly. And the girls are right in both cases. Like, if I was Alice, it's like, the priority, like, we have the fleece, let's heal Kronos. We can do that right now.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to indulge me 2 more seconds into my Foley theory. You can't hear her heels in this scene. What are we learning from that? We're learning that she's not in charge anymore.
And she's walking on carpet.
Luke put carpet
in the Admiralty suite to disempower women.
Yes.
Many people are saying, hey.
That's how you storytell through sound. And I just want to say that every nuts tinfoil hat conspiracy theory question we have had into like specific choices that were made, almost every single one of them has been met with an anecdote about why that specific choice was made in that way. So I'm not gonna turn down lack of heel clack theory. I'm not gonna turn down heel clack power theory. I think it's totally possible that this was an intentional choice.
And Austin's right. Like, Annabeth like threw her off the side of a boat. Like, why are you wasting your time?
But she's also not right. I think that we can both appreciate that, like Luke is not being an effective leader or communicator because he kind of doesn't have to. And like, she doesn't have the information to understand that he probably, like, I don't know. I don't think that there's no universe where he works this angle successfully and makes it happen.
But like, I think this angle is delusional. This angle is a working angle. It's delusional. That's his little sister. And he's like, oh, it's an angle. Like, no, Luke. You still have a heart. It's delusional. I hate like deluding himself about that.
I'm obsessed with the fact that the parallel between Allison and Luke and Clarice and Percy is obviously the fleece and using the fleece for its purpose, but also Annabeth. Yeah, the thing that they are both like,
Paradise.
distracted by in this moment is Annabeth and quote unquote saving Annabeth.
That was the first thing in like my wrote down is like the priority is like then my notebook was just like you're my priority, Annabeth. Like that's like they both want to prioritize Annabeth, and it's
The most formidable demigod. Her age.
I'm saying Annabeth. I'm saying her power. Her power. That's
Her
my
power.
girl. Talking about charm speak. Talking about influence. That's Annabeth Chase.
To the dulcet tones of the Once Upon a Time theme song, we shall now see the coffin glowing in gold. Once again, with the tinfoil hat theories, anyone who tried to bully me on the internet for saying that it looks like kintsugi pottery,
Kintsugi.
Shut up right now.
It's literally magic kintsugi.
People were like, it's just marbled. And I was like, oh, it's just marbled?
This is the Golden Fleece season. That was such an unserious... Sorry to those people. That was such an unserious day. You thought we weren't going to do an effect of the gold extending out of the Golden Fleece along the patches of gold that already exist?
And on my fourth watch through of this episode, I saw the little glint of gold in Luke's hair and I flipped out and I immediately was like kicking myself for not noticing that before we interviewed Jeannie, head of hair, because I was like, did you put glitter in his hair? Like, what's going on?
2 or 3 like gold tinsel pieces in a like plastic tiara tease kind of way up in there, and you really have to look very closely to see them, but they are there and it is giving. I will also shout out, I really enjoyed the very brief moment of Luke trying to reassert dominance over Allison. Not enjoyed in a sense of anyone is doing a good thing, normatively, obviously, but I was surprised by how subtly that was played and how effective. I found him just walking over and very calmly grabbing the fleece out of her hands. It's not a jerky move, it's a very deliberate, even motion, and she looks scared afterwards, but not terrified, but like, oh, that didn't go well for me. This is you can feel the rupture happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we're excited.
Because I think it's really saying who is the power here, and it's a question of like, who holds the power, and I think it's not him, really.
To the dulcet tones of Once Upon a Time theme song, we're going to take a quick ad break, and we'll be right back. All right. Once again, we got to sneak back onto the Princess Andromeda. If you didn't notice, this episode was written by Tamara Becker-Wilkinson, same person who wrote episode 203 on the Princess Andromeda. If you haven't listened to our interview with her, you must go listen to it. So good. We are abandoned because we kicked all of the, mortal.
Yeah, they're all in Long Island now.
Off on Long Island at Port Jefferson. And let's have a conversation about TTRPGs. Let's play some Mythomagic. Clarice is wandering through the break room that's also conveniently full of weapons. We've got Mythomagic on the table next to some snacks. She has a chip. That's a detail I deeply appreciated.
Yeah.
The sound of the crunching chip. Ding! Incredible Foley work. Count that. Still carrying the wooden spear that she made out of an oar in Polyphemus's cave.
First of all, craft queen.
Crafting queen.
And she keeps it the whole episode.
That's resourceful.
It's representative of her character arc and her growth. A weapon that doesn't kill other people because she is learning how to make friends.
That all being said, I really was expecting we were going to do a Michelle Yeoh Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon tease. I think I said this in our first watch through when we see all of these stacks of spears, perhaps a Chief of War moment. I was expecting her to grab all of them and throw the spears one by one at people. Because of how many there are.
And because we know we're expecting this whole episode, we're waiting for that tease of 5-on-1, my kind of odds. So I definitely was expecting her to use every single weapon in here at some point.
It did a lot of subtle indications of Crease's strength because she's holding some of the spears in one hand, multiple ones. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that, considering how weighty some of the spears are.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Really good point. She has to hide when all the demigods come in, and they're also talking about how the Iris messages are down. So it's not like Iris is defecting to Kronos. We don't need to be worried about that yet.
But this was really interesting because they are also kind of having these conspiratorial conversations about how maybe it's Zeus's fault and maybe Zeus is sabotaging them. It's a window into, I think, some of these nuances where we understand Allison as a true believer, but she doesn't necessarily, as we see, they don't necessarily have the same opinions about mythics/monsters that Luke kind of expresses at an earlier point. It's more complicated than that, right? They're not aligned on everything, but it seems like to the extent that there is something, their unifying principle is finding Zeus to be really abhorrent, objectionable, etc.
Deceptive. like underhanded.
Yeah, and this is where we get what Carter was saying earlier about starting to see what it actually is like for the Kronos army as far as we are all children of the gods here. We have a Laestrygonian giant come in and be like, yeah, don't be scared. And it does seem like the Kronos demigods are a little bit like wary of him, aren't entirely comfortable with his
They're
presence.
not all hanging out. Like, the giant does not pull up a chair and also play Mythomagic with them. He's at the other corner of the break room. The way that they're talking about I don't know, it's something about the way that they're playing Mythomagic also. Do we not also feel like they are naming monster cards as they're dealing this in a way that suggests a separation?
How are you gonna play these cards when these cards are like people he knows?
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna play Skull Eater Joe Bob giant card. Yeah, probably not.
We also do find out that this set of cards is owned by our friend, the bisexual daughter of Aphrodite. Bisexual son of Aphrodite? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say you want a bisexual TTRPG player in the series. Erica's based in New York City. She's represented by Buckwald.
Also, the person who comes in and is like, Aiden left his deck. That's Cassandra Ebner, who was Walker's stunt double in season 1 and is also playing a siren this season. She's our versatile queen. Shout out to you, Cassandra.
This scene is intercut with Percy on the deck because, of course, Clarice and Percy have separated. They have different objectives. They're both sneaking around. But Percy, commits maybe a hate crime against Wasian demigoddess.
Named after Daffy Olive's daughter, probably, June. Hello, June.
Yeah, traps her in a snack cart and meets Blackjack for the first time. That's our actual key moment.
You want to do the pitch. Why isn't the pitch right now? You needed an incompetent Wasian subordinate. 5'5".
It's true. She represents Wasia and Vancouver proudly. Fascinatingly, the one thing that really took me out, Blackjack is in like a tent on the deck. He's next to the pool. It looks like one of those little things that people will bring to like have potlucks after the softball game or something, but it's just sitting on the pool deck. What is he tied to? Is he tied to anything? I don't really understand the mechanics of where he is and why he's there.
This was like a makeshift stable.
It's a very fascinating color story too. There's like a lot of like dark yellow happening with the tent. We needed to meet him. That's what's important.
We needed to meet him. We needed to see Pallone, the face of a star. That horse is Pallone. If you didn't listen to our interview with Eli, stunt coordinator, that is the same horse that plays Chiron's butt because Pallone is a star. And Percy talks to Pallone. We are bringing back Poseidon, father of horses. Everybody cheer. We may have cut Poseidon, father of horses from season 1, but he's back. However, we don't get to hear the voice of Blackjack. Let's chalk that up to we're waiting to hire somebody real fancy, guys. I don't know if that's true. That's just me being a little bit delusional. Let's hope that we're waiting to hire somebody real fancy to say, hey, boss.
Are we not expecting the stunt casting of Jack Black to play Blackjack? I feel like people have been discussing this for years.
We have been pitching this on our podcast for over 5 years.
You know, at a minimum, we can lie to ourselves about the nays from the horse having a New York accent. Maybe, if you tilt your ear just right.
Or at least a New York attitude, at the very least. As these two intercutting scenes come to an end, we get, moment we've been waiting for all season. Percy getting Annabeth's attention by going, wise girl. Wow. Moment of silence, moment of praise, moment of appreciation.
Wearing her hat, invisible.
And it's a senior year adventures call out. And now I'm already forgetting. Is it Chalice of the Gods or Wrath of the Triple Goddess where he wears her hat?
I think it's Chalice. But either way, I guess it makes sense that this is relatively fresh for Rick. He's in the writer's room. It made sense as a thing for him to say as he's pulling it off. Action play. He can't just lean all the way into the hey, wise girl. Like, we need a distraction. We need a diversion.
And they gotta hit us with the 1, 2, 3 punch because as we're reeling from Wise Girl, we get senior year adventures shout out. And then we get, you're working together? Not exactly. You're my priority. And the fleece was hers.
Okay, every now and then he'll drop these like heart-stopping lines, like, you're my priority. If it was between you and saving Olympus, I'd burn it all down. Yeah, she's just my friend.
We all have been saying, like, this is Percy Jackson, a person who was raised by an extremely wonderful, giving, generous, communicative, words of affirmation mother. Sally Jackson taught him how to communicate like this. But I also have myself wondering if maybe for all of us, the bar is in hell.
Yeah, I think the bar is low. The bar is low.
We shouldn't be freaking out hearing somebody say, "You're my priority." I think that is just like a nice thing to say to your best friend.
No, the bar is low.
That being said, I did pass away when I heard this. I passed into another earthly plane.
And of course, Annabeth immediately says, no, that's wrong. No. Clarice made the right decision, just as Clarice predicted in the previous episode. Clarice said Annabeth would agree with me.
Annabeth would not want
Cat
this.
matters.
And we knew that too, because of the fatal flaw of it all. We know that Annabeth needs to pull him back.
Again, this is more justification. I need more Annabeth and Clarice team-ups, because they are on the same wavelength. And
oh my goodness. My favorite Annabeth Clarice moment of the season coming up shortly.
Yeah.
Oh, she's right. The fleece is all that matters. I understand what it can do now. Dun, dun, dun,
which, again, I think
dun,
it's
dun.
so much better that we get to see this Annabeth as more of an authority on the fleece as compared to the book. Okay, it's not just by accident that,
yes.
Oh my gosh, Thalia is alive now. It's like, no. Like, it's intentional.
And it teases us up for this conversation with Luke.
Yes, we're now going to get to the real juice of this episode. This is the scene that I had to, rewind, watch a bunch of times. Luke coming in to talk to Annabeth. Percy is watching invisibly. This is what we have been waiting for since the final moments of episode 8 of season 1, in which Luke tried to pitch to Percy while Annabeth was hiding invisible. Now we finally get to see Luke pitch to Annabeth one-on-one while Percy hides invisibly and watches. And this is why Dan and Craig were having a fun time answering my little question, saying that Thalia is like the linchpin to get Annabeth to go with Luke, but Thalia is also the linchpin to get Luke to go with Annabeth. We're going to see those two sides really butting up against each other here.
But is it really butting up against each other? I feel like Annabeth is not moved.
That is a really good point. And I do want to talk about the fact that Annabeth here now, she is not giving up on Luke yet, but she has made a step towards Percy. Like, if she is towing the middle of this line between Luke and Percy this whole time.
She took a step last season. That step has always been there.
But I think this is a meaningful difference in the fact that she does choose to lie to Luke in this scene and to use knowledge against him while at the same time still trying to pitch to him. Like, she is like, okay, I understand that he's probably not going to go for this fleece pitch right now, so I'm going to send Percy on it while I also work on him from this angle. But it is an acknowledgement of what we've been talking about, that she is going through the loss of him as she knows him this season, that she is trying to let go and acknowledge that he has changed, which is what Percy has been saying this whole time. I do think this is an acknowledgement from her that he has changed, but she is still not giving up on him because she does mean every second of this pitch.
Her approach is different too, because I think it's more strategic versus just going blindly in and just giving up everything, that she is treating him as a target, as a mark.
Yes. And of course, notably, the pitch is not primarily about leaving Kronos. The pitch is about Thalia. I think as much as anything, what we're seeing here is it's like an interest convergence thing. She does say a couple of times, obviously, she's very clear about what side she thinks he should be on, but she isn't necessarily saying, like, in order for you to do this, you need to abandon Kronos. She is focused specifically on just saying, we, the two of us, are going to bring Thalia back because it's possible and you want to.
Interesting how much each of them uses Thalia differently, because Luke is always saying, Thalia would have wanted this, Thalia would have wanted that, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, well, we can save Thalia now.
And we'll find out.
Because I think Lucas is accepted Thalia as dead. Like, Thalia only works to Luke if she's dead.
The fact that, oh God, we've been talking about this in circles for so long, parenthesis positive in the best way. It just is so yummy to watch them all be like, Thalia this, Thalia that, trying to play this game of chess using her as a pawn. Because when she eventually takes herself off of the board at the end of season 3, we know how important it is that she does that. God forbid that part of the reason why she has to do that is because Annabeth is getting close to joining Luke. Like, there's so many different ways in which her presence is dangerous, not only to the gods, but just to interpersonally her relation. Like, right now, she is essentially tearing them apart, right? Like, she is, in a sense, bringing them together.
But she's the only thing keeping them together.
Yes. She is, at the same time, the only thing that is keeping Annabeth and Luke tied together. She is also ripping them apart. And I think that choice that she makes to remove herself is as much a choice about the fate of the world as it is a choice about her friendship with the two of them.
But I think it's also about herself as identity too, because I think I'm saying, like, both of them idealize Thalia from two different perspectives. Like, Annabeth deifies her. Luke is just keeping her forever. It's like this angry teenager. And Thalia has no say. And at this point, like, she's been dead for so long that who she is now as an actual human being is irrelevant, because those ideas of her has persisted and has permeated. She's become a myth herself. She herself has become a myth, and she's no longer a human being. No one can live like that.
Let's talk about the most important lines of dialogue in this scene. All thanks to Percy. He defied the will of the gods by handing it over. Annabeth says he was saving a friend. And Luke says, and he ended up saving the world. Hands, palms facing Annabeth. Hear me out. Let me pitch you this. Look at my vision of the future. And he ended up saving the world. And Annabeth goes, Luke, you have to stop this.
Interdiction. She's like, you've gone too far, Luke. And this is for me. Like, her being the most like Kool-Aid drinking church girl, being like, no.
Being like, yeah, maybe you did out missionary the missionary for a second there. Like, you need to cool it. Like, take a sit down, Elder Castellan.
Luke is really feeling it in this moment, which is for a number of reasons. Like, we've never seen a performance this open from Luke.
Because we've never seen him just talk to her. We've never seen him just talk to her.
He never just talks to her.
We've never seen him this animated. Like, he's talking with his hands in a way that I don't think have ever seen before.
Bring it back. Wake back up the back-footed versus front-footed Luke conversation. The fact that he is back-footed when he is lying, when he has a mask on, when he is putting on a facade. And the actual Luke is very passionate.
He's idealistic. He is like a youth pastor. This is him. Like, this is Luke.
We are getting ideologue. To me, what is most fascinating about this is the valence that he's putting on what Percy did. He clearly, to the point about Thalia, like, you can see him starting to see Percy not in the same way, but strategically in kind of the same way. Obviously, the prophecy could equally apply to either of them, depending on what happens. But he sees Percy as a site of contestation for Annabeth's loyalties also in this scene, which is fascinating and surprising, but also makes sense. And the way that he describes Percy's action, which I don't think anyone would read it ideologically except for Luke, that it's a way in which he's being weird, but also fully cementing who he is. That his read of this isn't about saving Annabeth, it's about saving the world. It's about Percy doing something that the gods wouldn't approve of, instead of under duress doing whatever it would take to save Annabeth.
It's such an interesting twist on like his fatal flaws we hear from Cersei. It's like, you would like jeopardize a quest, you would, burn the world. Like you said, I would burn the world to save you. In this case, like, no. This is saving the world. It's such
because he sees both sides. He sees the duality. He sees that two things can be true at the same time, and we are all children of the gods.
Well, I just think it's interesting that Luke, again, like I said, like Luke takes this moment of like Percy truly caring about Annabeth, making this whole political stance, and making this whole like platform of like, see,
he said the personal is political, baby. You cannot separate these things.
And that's again. That's the same with Thalia. Like, she can't just be a person. She has to be this political, like, tool.
And what a thing to put on a girl, what a thing to put on a girl, like, and especially in his memory of her, and like, not to Manic Pixie Dream Girl out this conversation, but like, in Luke's memory and recollection of Thalia, she was his ride or die, we're gonna burn it all down, like Bonnie and Clyde, you and I versus everything. And so he has this vision of her as this huge revolutionary, and we don't know whether or not that's true right now. But also, like, I'm pretty sure no matter, like, if a boy ever puts that much on a girl, let's assume that she's also just a girl, and maybe she's not a symbol. Maybe she's not a symbol. Maybe she's just a girl, and maybe she wants to join the Hunters of Artemis because it's a lot of responsibility.
Difference between Percy's relationship with Annabeth and Luke's relationship with Thalia. When we talk about like the relationships of those two being forged under fire and the, like, the romances of that, it's like Luke.
Maybe Annabeth doesn't have all the answers. Maybe Annabeth doesn't have all the answers, and we should stop putting all that responsibility on her to have all the answers. I also really like, I know that logistically Luke kneels down here because Annabeth has to pretend that she is still being tied into the bed. But this whole, and he ended up saving the world as he is like kneeling down to talk to her. It looks exactly like when he gives her the freaking bracelet in the sewers in the flashbacks. And he's like pitching her to her. He's trying to get her to see, like, it almost, not in a condescending way, but in a sense of like, you're my little sister.
It is condescending. It's, what is it? It's patronizing.
I don't think so, because I think that he is speaking to her like an adult, but it is the same relationship in which he's treating her like his sister.
Yes, not an equal.
Yeah, it comes from a prior of having more knowledge and more access to something that is valuable, but openness. He's being open for the first time that we've basically seen.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it's like I said, I really like it. I think it's kind of sad just how few opportunities he has to be open like, amongst his own army.
Absolutely. He is alone on my island. Annabeth gives these little coded instructions to Percy to leave now, get the fleece, and bring it to me. I laugh every single time.
Cute.
It's so cute. Oh, that's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That is Tom Cruise and Tomina Cruzette. Like, we love our little action duo. Okay, and now we have to go back to American teen life with the sneaky third choice. They, them, the fully spherical options.
They have the great American teen quest, which is get a ride. Get a ride because you're somewhere and you're trapped and you're stuck and there's no public transportation anywhere.
You don't have money. You don't have a license.
You don't have money. And get a ride.
Oh, God, this is so funny.
I love seeing Tyson's technical prowess and so these subtle ways of just hot wiring a car. It's so satisfying to me to see.
Yes, that was a really great touch. Also, the callback to Percy driving in Vegas. Like, no, Percy can't drive. And presumably, Grover can't drive because of the hoof situation. Was that the conclusion we were supposed to draw?
I
guess so, yeah.
You think he would like, I can't drive because
he's an environmentalist.
Yeah, it's like, it's violent to the environment was what I was thinking. Only if it's electric.
He's not going to drive a truck.
Yeah.
But it is time to call Sally.
Sally!
Good son, Tyson, calling mom, calling an adult. I think we talked about this when we were talking about Kane Chronicles, the importance of having an adult in the room.
Because that's such a special marker of Kane Chronicles is like actually having an adult with them.
You can like drive and do these things. And I think that this is such a nice way to bring Sally back because I felt we've missed her.
We have. And when we see Sally, who noticed that she looks a little different? Is she wearing a little bit more makeup?
Like her hair was all done.
Yeah, did she take a curling iron to that hairdo?
Who was she buying those groceries for?
Who was she buying those groceries for?
More than just like for one person.
I'm going to roll a clip here of our interview with Jeannie Chow, head of hair, because I had to ask a question about this. Sally Jackson, stunning, incredible, very important character. She has this kind of like natural curly hair look. I feel like, like I'm a mom, I'm not putting that much time and energy into it. Like this is just how I wake up like this. But then we get to see her, I think episode 7, when we call on her to come and pick us up, and she's out in Montauk, and there's a very delicious Easter egg for book readers that she comes and she picks them up in this Prius. And Percy is like, whose car is this? And we know as readers that that is her boyfriend's car. But Percy doesn't know yet that her mom has a boyfriend. And I feel like, and you can absolutely tell me if I'm hallucinating with my tinfoil hat on right now, I feel like when we see her out in Montauk, she has a bit of like, it kind of looks like she took a curling iron to her hair. Like she has kind of like a bit more of a like princessy look. Like maybe she's out in Montauk with her boyfriend for the weekend and she curled her hair. You're nodding.
Yes, definitely. We wanted to give her a little bit of a glow up. So we
Sally Jackson glow up. She deserves it. She deserves it.
She's dropped the dead weight of Gabe and she's found, a new love. She's spending time with somebody. She's definitely happier. She's still worried about Percy. Like, obviously, Percy's going to be number one in her world and everything. But she gets to, like, think about herself a little bit now,
She has time for a curling wand.
She has time for curling her hair. So, yes, definitely we wanted to make it, have a transition of her, stepping into the next chapter of her life. And we just wanted her to like look pretty, like she's not the worried, stressed out mom of season 1.
Yeah.
She's a little bit more relaxed. She's got more confidence, in Percy's abilities. And, she's like to the point where she's, even giving him more guidance, like especially in that first episode of season 2 where, she gives him the coin and, they're talking about each other's experiences and their dreams. And, that's like a really kind of a nice moment. So yeah, Sally gets a glow up.
Sally gets a glow up.
I loved the sequence so much. So side quest on a TV show, so American teen. The concept of her having to leave the grocery store early, the concept of them arguing with each other on the phone and trying to wrestle the phone back and forth because one of them no longer trusts what the other one is doing.
This is the real nostalgia. Like for me, this actually made me feel the nostalgia in my gut of 8th grade. And then when they're in the car later and they're all like talking and Sally's in the front seat driving, she's like, wait, what are you? I don't understand a single thing you children are saying.
Aw.
Good stuff. Let's go back to the bad stuff.
Allison.
Allison's hearing the call. She's hearing the voices.
Beatrice, please understand that you have done the performance of a century here. Like, I finally really noticed in this episode the aggressive head tossing that she does. Every time she pivots to go anywhere, she leads with the bob. And the bob flies in the air, and you can see it in episode 203, and you can really see it, even though she has a half up, half down, you can see the bob flying in the air.
Yeah, there's still motion.
It's exceptional.
We all watched the episode of SNL with Glenn Powell, right? With the Bob Army.
Wow, don't make Carter mad by referencing Bob Army again on the podcast. I referenced Bob Army several episodes ago, and Carter said, no one's going to watch that sketch. This will age poorly.
I watched it, obviously, but
well, until it ages poorly, I will reference it.
I unfortunately do have to bring up that in this scene, there is a continuity error that I quite enjoyed. When the fleece is first placed on the sarcophagus, it is horizontal. It's vertical in the scene, and it will be horizontal in the next one. And you need a little bit of that flavor.
He got a little chilly.
I mean, Allison also, I guess at the beginning of the scene, is basically babysitting the sarcophagus. She's sitting there in the room by herself reading a magazine. Maybe she's rotating it, I guess, to give him different fleece experiences. You gotta like spread the fleece around.
Can't you just see her talking to herself, thinking she's talking to Kronos, being like, my Lord Kronos, are your shoulders a bit drafty?
Yeah.
I'll fix that for you.
Oh, you're saying we should kill the girl? You're saying that? Okay.
Does anybody have feelings about why we don't hear his voice
because
here?
Maybe he isn't talking directly to her and she just wants to do this. I think it's good ambiguity.
But who's she performing for?
Herself. It could be
I think she's Delulu. Yeah. That's a real, I didn't even consider that maybe she is full Delulu.
I 100%, when I was watching this, I was like, oh, we only hear his voice talking to Percy.
That's actually really interesting. Even when he talks to Luke,
we only know it's real because he has the electric device in his head that makes him collapse to the ground.
The gold tinsel hair technology that allows him to telepathically communicate. Kronos was like, put me in this coffin and then go out and buy yourself matching golden hair inserts. You're going to get somebody to tie them into your hair. And that way I will be able to communicate with you from my iPad inside of this coffin.
Like a Wi-Fi antenna, like they used to do, like in like cell phone antennas they used to put on.
I am literally so sorry, but shout out to our Patreon watch party from episode 206 where we spent like
decided
half an hour.
That Kronos is watching One Piece from inside the sarcophagus on an iPad.
Kronos is lying down in sarcophagus with an iPad taped to the inside roof of the sarcophagus because he needs to understand human culture before he shows up to take over the world.
And One Piece is obviously the natural choice. He's all this time.
We are now going to go back to Luke still trying to get Annabeth. We need to Ohana Means family it up in here. We have our own Ohana Means family phrase for our broken trio. It's, remember, we take care of our own.
And the question is, who's our own?
Who is our own? That is the question. Because we do take care of our own. Because Luke certainly isn't Percy's our own.
I think it's so interesting because also, who is Luke's our own?
It's only Annabeth. Annabeth is all he has left.
Well, Thalia, no, in his mind, Thalia is dead. Like, he is refusing to see, because like you said, it's like...
He doesn't have true religion. He doesn't know that she...
He's not a true believer. And she says, like, you wanted it to be true. It's like, no, I didn't. I didn't want it to be true. I wish nothing. I had hope nothing. He's just denying it.
And this is such an important... Okay, Thaw Luke is the greatest love story ever told. Let's wind it back. If the one person who has the interlocking fatal flaw who can protect Luke is Thalia, Annabeth has to get Thalia back. That is why
That's
the
true.
fleece is more important than everything else, because Thalia is literally the one person who could talk Luke out of this at this point. Thalia is the person who told Luke, we're going to camp. Like, if Thalia got Luke to go to Cult Half-Blood, Thalia is the person who is going to get Luke to abandon all of this, leave Kronos, and, like, stop this entire war. Because Luke is also the greatest love story ever told, and they have interlocking fatal flaws! I don't know what they are, but I know that they interlock.
Thalia only works if Luke believes that she's alive. And Luke is refusing. Because, I mean, he can only commit to the Kronos thing because Thalia's dead. That is the only thing that like is really, I think, at the emotional core of this. It's like he's like, the gods lie, Zeus killed or desiccated her body, and if Thalia is alive, that disrupts his whole belief system.
Yes, but I think the linchpin goes both ways here, right? Where like he basically states it almost as like a theorem or something, like if Thalia is alive, then like the worldview that's gotten me to this point is wrong. Like that is my interpretation of the way this scene shakes out, right? But like I don't think he is necessarily not believing it.
I think he trying to be refuting it because she's trying to say like you wish it to be true and like no, you want it to be true. That was a child's thing. He's really dismissing it as Annabeth's child's like vision or belief system. And Nan's like, no, you want it, you felt it too. It's like, no, he's kind of like repudiating this part of him that kind of wants Thalia to be alive.
He's pushing back, but I think that at the end of that conversation, like the reason why Kronos has to control his mind into like the chronic headache of making you walk away slowly is because she kind of gets to him. I think that like there is the seed of doubt planted, and we get this formulation from Luke that basically, I think what we're going to see is that from this point forward, we as the audience don't believe that the one-to-one between Luke and Kronos is broken. I feel like permanently, even if we see him weaving back into Kronos, we don't believe that that bond is unbreakable, and we don't believe that it's solid, that there are these core differences between what their two projects are. And to the extent that Luke weaves back, it's because he is being deceived or because the landscape of the board has changed, but that those changes could be unchanged. We could see a different configuration of people and events that could bring Luke back out again. And I feel like that is this moment. Him like having that like brain break moment literally before he actually brain breaks and has to stagger away back to camera off of screen.
Absolutely. We were talking with the patrons about how Luke is losing autonomy. He's losing control over his army, and he's about to lose control over his body in season 3, which mimics and parallels the way that his mother lost autonomy over her mind and body. And we are going to see some of that right now with Allison coming in the break room and being like, who wants to kill Annabeth? Like, let's not worry about Luke.
That's right. She says traitor, and we assume it's Annabeth, but she said if Luke gets in our way. Traitor only implies that she saw Annabeth as one of them, which she never saw. So the traitor, I think, could also mean Luke.
I know, that's a pretty nuts line. Like, ooh, if Luke gives me any trouble, I might need backup.
I'm excited.
You're excited?
I want to see the infighting. I feel like we've articulated some good points of conflict, but we can press those buttons harder.
Yeah. We have a big music cue as Clarice follows them out and grabs a couple extra spears and like an axe. I wanted her to grab a mace too. I thought we were going to get at least a couple more weapons, but that's okay.
At least a half Michelle.
Yeah, a half Michelle Yeoh. But this was like, let me be clear, this was still a sleigh. I just totally expected that she was going to walk out of there with like an actual armful of various weapons. Okay, ad break, and then we'll be right back. Okay, it's time to start the freaking action, you guys. Let's get some action going. Percy's in the Admiralty suite, fleece horizontal. Cronus' hips got cold again. And now we have to activate a telepathic electromagnetic brain device.
Voldemort speaking to Harry.
This is not my favorite trope. And I also feel like the sound design, again, like you've heard me, I love the Foley work. The Foley work this season has been incredible. I'm on record as being very pro the Foley work in this season. I was really confused by why it's electronic. Why is Kronos like buzzing into their heads? I found a lot of the head telepathic communication a little confusing, a little maybe not necessary for me to get the dramatic rise out of this scene. For me.
I also feel like if I was Kronos, I wouldn't be coming into Percy's head with a headache. I would be coming into Percy's head, like filling him with dopamine, like serving serotonin, like trying to be like, I'm, let me chronipulate a little bit better. Like, let's not resort straight to like causing him to physically suffer if you are trying to get him on your side here.
Yeah.
I know that Carter is overall in all forms of media not a huge fan of telepathic villain to chosen one communication.
Yes.
Or I guess not just chosen one, because there's a lot of people here. My only issue with it is that I feel like it confuses me to a point of not understanding when and where and why we need spies. Like, how much is he seeing? How much does Kronos understand? Can he see through people's eyes? Are we tapping into the Vecna hive mind and using the power of gay? I don't know yet, but we're going to have to find out before the Selena traitor reveal if that's still something that we're doing. Because at this point, we don't know if that was even necessary.
I think visually what worked really well in season 1 were the dreams and the dual reading of them. And I kind of feel like just the telepathic straight to the mind Takes away a lot of the visual dynamicism of those.
It's less visually dynamic and it raises a lot of questions about tension. But what we do get out of this, which I genuinely was shocked by, is Kronos just saying basically the first 4 lines of the Great Prophecy.
He said, let's hurry it up. We gotta hurry up. We gotta get this on the roll.
He said, technically, we're not renewed for 5 seasons, so let's speed it up, guys.
Yeah, this was wild. And specifically, he goes all the way up to the point where we're actually having a reveal. He stops. We get up to the last word of the 4th line. See the world in endless sleep. The hero's soul, cursed blade, shall cut off. That's the moment where Percy grabs the fleece, runs away, and says, I don't actually need to hear all that. But it's a rhyme scheme. He's going to talk about this with Annabeth later. We don't have enough time in this episode to unpack this, so we don't. Percy literally does not really take a beat to think about this. But presumably at some point in 208, they're going to sit down together and Annabeth's going to be like, I know how rhymes work. I know how meter works. I know at a high level what the vibe of the prophecy is. We're going to figure out what that last word is. Because like he does not seem at this moment like he's processed at all the idea that probably he's going to die, right?
Hero's soul, cursed blade shall meep.
Shall steep.
Steep, a little T. Hero's soul, cursed blade shall
keep. Maybe he's keeping a soul.
Shall keep. Like
That's
he'll be
nice.
imprisoned in a knife or something?
Maybe like a little box, like Pandora's box per se.
Hero's soul, cursed blade shall sweep.
Like a broom. We're gonna
What?
Hero's soul, cursed blade shall peep.
Leap. Maybe it jumps out of the body.
Shall heap.
Heap. Like
Ooh, heap's kind of scary. Yeah, I don't know. Annabeth will do this for several hours, mind you.
Slant rhymes and whatnot.
Yeah, God forbid we were even considering slant rhymes.
I do think that this moment of like Percy taking this is very much like The Incredibles of like, you caught me monologuing. These moments, I think, truly feel like very able to bag up Percy Jackson, like cutting us. We don't need to hear all this drama. I'm here for the fleece. I'm gonna get out.
Oh gosh, Annabeth would have strangled him for this one. Knowledge is literally a weapon. How dare you refuse knowledge?
You could rip it away when he finishes saying the rest of the prophecy.
Right? Like hear him out. Let's hear him out.
But that is the Percyest Percy Jacksoning Jackson to have ever Jackson.
To be like, no, I've heard enough.
Nah, this is irrelevant. I don't care. I'm bored.
But of course, that is the moment when Luke walks in, and Luke's reaction here.
Let's talk about it.
Put down that copy of Catcher in the Rye. Put down that copy of The Sound and the Fury. We don't need to be freaking out over finding out that our little sisters are human beings. Let's not crash out over our little sisters making mistakes.
Little sisters have their own agendas as people, as discrete and autonomous beings.
You can take the Western civilization out of Percy Jackson, but you cannot take the canonical literary conundrums of young men obsessing over their little sisters being full, complicated, messy human beings and crashing out. Can't take that out of Luke Castellan. It's tough to see your heroes fall. It was hard for me to see Luke freak out about this.
But I think it's just such a continuation of what I asked last season of like, at what point did Annabeth suspect Luke? And it's just such like, okay, at what point, like now she's lying to Luke. And it's really hitting him in this moment.
Yes, but however, and in defense of Luke, like he is kind of struggling right now in this exact moment, not only with his chronic headache, with his migraine, but also with the gold tinsel technology, but also he's struggling with the fact that he is trying to genuinely comprehend whether or not Thalia could come back. And he is trying to decide whether or not to believe Annabeth.
And now he's saying, oh, we weren't both in that space of swing and vulnerability and deciding together what team we're both going to be on as a family.
And like we just said, Annabeth is the only person that he has left and the only person he can trust. He can't even trust his own second in command. Allison's about to F him up.
Does he trust Annabeth as she is now, Annabeth as the little girl? Is a question.
I think that Luke trusted Annabeth until literally right now.
I felt like he was in the space with her on the bed when he like sat down next to her and was gesticulating and everything.
It's just actually really hypocritical. He's been lying and manipulating her for this in the last season.
The older brothers of literature are all hypocrites. That's the whole gag of it. Holden Caulfield is not protecting his peace and being an innocent, sanctified young man.
Not at all. Far from the bastion of purity and youth.
How do we stop this, y'all? How do we stop young men across America and maybe even the globe from crashing out when they realize that their younger sisters are actual, full, well-rounded human beings and not two-dimensional angels?
I think Annabeth gets there as well as anyone can.
I would say having Sally Jackson as a mom, but I guess you can't really just like...
Or that, yeah.
Having Sally Jackson as a mom. Oh, parenting. Good luck with that, Carter. Aunting, much easier.
I mean, I guess it makes it because his mom was like, you know, not there mentally for most of his childhood.
Oh, May.
It's time for the fight scene. At this point, I feel like we kind of have the physical vocabulary of the two of them, and even the two of them specifically fighting each other, right? Luke is angrier, slashier, huge, big movements. I don't know if this is tin hatting. I feel like he's using his wrist a lot more. Do we notice this? He's fighting with one hand. Percy's fighting with one hand, but just because he's holding the fleece with the other hand. And we see
And he's on
Luke's
defense.
movements having a little bit more of a follow through in the wrist, a finesse. I feel like what we're reading into that is that Luke is still at this point more skillful, which is literally part of Percy's
100%.
mental monologue in the book as this fight is happening. He's having his like, oh no, I'm out of practice. I haven't actually been in camp that long. Luke is gonna get me moment.
Mm-hmm. The disarming is really sickening. Let's talk about stunt telling, like story stunting, the way that everybody, directors, cinematographers, Eli on the stunt team, Trevor, like everybody builds this scene to tell us that story of Luke is powerful and more skilled, but maybe a little bit out of control. And Percy is able to play a smart defensive game.
That like Luke has another vulnerable piece on the board, right? Like the reason why the fight ends without Percy dying is because we finally get Chekhov's Kronos' 45-degree angle.
Chekhov's 45-degree sarcophagus tilt. This being something that we were like, what is going on there? Having this kind of payoff, that's going to be a reaction clip I have to post to the main feed, because the first time we saw this, we were like, you're kidding me. There was actually a reason for the sarcophagus to be tilted. This is why you should always put the sarcophagi of undead titans on a flat surface.
Put it on the ground.
On the ground. At the very least, a flat table.
The same thing could have happened. They could have still hit it, and one of the table legs gets a little damaged, and Luke also has to try to hold up a large stone sarcophagus by himself.
Yeah, lessons learned, mistakes were made. Percy goes to escape through the elevator. Carter, talk about elevator action movie pop culture norms.
Percy's supposed to be the guy who watched Jaws, right? Percy is supposed to be something of a watcher of action films, right? Why does he stand smack dab in the middle of the elevator, gazing off into the distance, dazed, confused, watching those doors close?
ADHD, guys.
You get ADHD in the corner. You need to ADHD your way into the corner.
I didn't say it was effective. I mean, was it ever implied?
I mean, like, he does the first trope of slamming on that down button. He's trying to get that elevator to open. Once it does open, you're in the corner. You're right next to the buttons. You have your sword up. You're defending yourself with this giant hunk of metal that you're holding in front of you that you've just stolen. He gets got. It ends up not being that plot consequential. And genuinely, I have to say, a little bit confusing. Why does Percy get stabbed in this? We already have seen the fleece bring a person back to life.
I think it's just like more of a flex of just like stakes of like he could have died. Luke is going for blood.
I guess that's the idea, that Luke would have killed him, right?
Yeah, like he's not playing safe. Like the guardrails are off. We're playing for real.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that Luke would have killed him.
With intent to maim and kill.
Before we get out of the scene, though, I want to shout out the weight of the Kronos sarcophagus literally coming crashing down on the shoulders of Luke. Luke having to literally shoulder by himself, alone, shoulder the burden of Kronos.
You know what this is making me think of? Annabeth in the Sky. Of like Percy holding it up with her.
Or Luke in the sky. Luke's gonna hold it up too.
But she takes it. He lets her hold it by herself. It's a track.
That's gonna be a toughie. I can't wait to see how they write that.
Oh, I can't wait.
That's the real reason we had the she lied thing. Like, next season, we need to get our way back to he's gonna kidnap her a second time, or she's gonna be a captive a second time. How are we getting from this moment of extreme openness,
betrayal,
and meeting in the middle, we're maybe going to do secret third thing, we're going to save Thalia together, to I'm going to trick you into holding up the sky, a burden that will probably kill you?
We don't know how much time passes between Luke having Annabeth captive and Annabeth holding up the sky. What if Annabeth doesn't hold up the sky for quite some time?
I could see that happening. I could see them having many conversations and epiphanies. I could see Luke being like, here's the plan. You're going to trap Artemis. Actually, I couldn't see that. Maybe not. Maybe not that one. We're going to dial it back on that one. Some of the other things, though, you know?
Is he going to try again? Because if this whole thing clearly fails and she's clearly picked her side.
Well, I mean, like, the other thing is that, like, okay, this is like such a tangent. In that book, when he's holding up the sky, like, part of the reason why she takes it from him is because she believes that essentially, like, Kronos has left him a terrible, endangering fate, and that she alone can fix it because that's her hubris. I can do this thing that you can't do.
I can take up the sky by myself.
Yes, there's a way to lean into that and for Luke to not be lying, right? Like,
That's
Luke
what I'm
is
gonna.
actually trapped under the sky. He does.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think that's just so much deeper because now, like, I guess now he's gone from like appealing to her, like, in terms of sense of family, then to be like, I'm appealing now to your fatal flaw.
Yeah.
And then that shift is so fascinating to me.
It's both. Yeah. You alone have the strength to save your family.
If Annabeth, shows up and Atlas, like she comes to from being unconscious and Atlas/Kronos has put Luke under the weight of the sky. And
like she thinks that she's saving her, like she's saving something. Her mom's saving her, and then that's just
Yes.
Yeah. And I really like the idea that Luke is not fully intentionally participating in trapping Annabeth. But we'll see how the final battle goes. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen when Thalia shows up in episode 8. We literally have not seen it yet. They are keeping that shit away from us. They won't let us watch it. So we don't know. We literally do not know what happens, and that's not us being coy. And I think whatever happens in episode 8 is going to answer some of those questions for us before we get to season 3.
But fight choreo for Annabeth. Let's talk about it.
In addition to the 5-on-1 epic Clarice fight, which is I just want to say, I'm so glad that they put this in here because this really is Dior's season. She kind of gets her quest stolen out from under her by that boy. She needed a moment to flex her skills, like have her big moment at the end of her quest, say 5-on-1, my kind of odds, I'm going to yeet literally all of you.
She had to remind the people, it was like, I'm ahead of Ares camp for a reason. Like, I am like dominating.
She taught herself something about, oh yeah, I do still have skills. I can still take on 5 people. And I have to say, my favorite moment in this scene is that these scenes are intercut. We see the Clarice versus everybody fight with Luke versus Percy fight. We're going between the two of them. And right after Luke judo flips Percy off the table, slammed down onto the ground, immediately afterwards, we see Annabeth get cornered in the side. One of the demigods has found her out. And she does what? She also judo flips him down onto the ground.
Luke's influence. She's still using the same moves that assuming that he taught her how to judo flip someone.
Yes. That's still her older brother. They trained together for 7 years.
And truly, let us honor finally getting to see Annabeth.
Yes.
Do some fight choreo. This is a big deal. It's a big deal.
I think last season we saw that like Leah was put through some stunt training, but we never got to see her actually fight. And I think I was like, we were robbed from having her do that last season. Really glad we get to see it this season. Annabeth, Clarice, sisterhood. Girls get it done.
Annabeth, Clarice, sisterhood. Every time I see this, there are misty tears in my eyes.
There are no words.
I love that Clarice's moment of, coming to and seeing friendship Jesus and rounding the corner on her own fatal flaw and, vanquishing her prophecy is through Annabeth, because everything is through Annabeth. Literally everything is about Annabeth. We've had this conversation. Everybody's trying to save Annabeth, but also sisterhood.
I think at the end when she gets on Black, like she gives Annabeth the spear, and I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, it ties together. I mean, like we were saying like back in 202 that this is going to be a dynamic that will be rich and has so much in it inherently and also subtextually to be explored.
Honestly, it makes me kind of sad that Clarice isn't on the quest to get Anna back. I mean, I feel like there's one thing I would like to rewrite in the books. I would like to add Clarice to that girl power little trio.
Definitely.
I would say Clarice. Actually, would love to see Clarice and Thalia's dynamic. Honestly.
We've wrapped things up. We've wrapped up our boys. We've wrapped up our girls, and now it's time to get back to our in-betweens.
Also, C-Twerp, a Percy Jackson podcast. That's what we call it when Erica does interviews alone. C-Twerp, a Percy Jackson podcast when I'm missing Carter.
I wrote my notebook like C-Twerp, like with a heart next to it.
Okay. Percy, Tomina cruisetting through the Princess Andromeda on the cruise.
That is a long running shot, and why not?
Walker Scobell, you will direct the next epic action franchise and also star in it and produce it. I believe in you. And when you do, you know where to find me.
Buckwald.
We are all uniting back up on the deck.
Including our Wasian friend.
And more importantly, Blackjack. Blackjack 4-on-1 yeets everybody off of this boat.
Let's say it together. Pegasus ex machina.
Deus ex Blackjockina. Palone ex machina.
So funny the way that they choreograph this, where 2 wings, grab 2 of them, 2 legs, grab 2 of them. It is one motion, just like bam.
4-on-1. He said, you guys put me in a tent.
That's animal abuse.
And shout out to the scoring. I did really like the score cue in this moment. The tremolos and the flute scales. Great
also,
stuff.
Just the actual visual of Blackjack flying, it looks so good. Like, I would believe that if you told me you put Palone on a bunch of wires and flew him around a blue screen, I would believe you. It looks so good.
Now, okay, Flying Home Alone.
Yeah. Erica predicted this. I'm pretty sure. I've not went back and confirmed our predictions episode, but I'm pretty sure you said this, that we're not going to fly back on a plane.
I don't even remember yesterday.
Erica, you asked me this, like, does the mental fleece heal mental emotional trauma? Now that's Clarice's period.
When she grabbed the fleece and got on blackjack, I half expected it to hear the Once Upon a Time theme, just because I was like, in my mind, I was just like, wow. She's got, first of all, multiple concussions. Second of all, mental health issues, you know? Does the fleece cover mental health?
I mean, if it heals concussions, I feel like they would have to heal. This is just, I feel like, what's the
What about like complex PTSD? The answer is no, since it does not glow and play the Once Upon a Time theme. You don't have a wellness tab in that plan. Fleece health insurance is not covered.
Fleece care.
Percy also apologizes for using her prophecy against her, which I appreciate. And maybe we need to hear from Grover.
Yeah, Grover got up a little too easily about that.
Grover, we're going to haul you in front of the court too. Everybody.
Hey, Chiron, you're next.
The court of blackjack, witnessed by him. The front, not the back. We needed Palone's face to witness this.
And it's Prius time. Clarice is off.
Shout out to Paul Blowfus. This was the Easter egg gag of the season. However, I will also say that talking about PTSD, the sight of this Prius, I'm going to need everybody to hold my hand when we get to The Last Olympian, because per Rachel, sitting in that Prius is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
But then we'll get blackjack, so it'll be okay. We'll get blackjack on the Prius and it'll all be okay.
And we love a Prius. We love plug-in hybrid.
Yes, we love a bumper sticker that says I'd rather be teaching and a license plate that says MFA.
Just in case you were confused. In case you were confused about who the Prius belonged to. Yeah.
If you didn't pick up on that blue Prius.
The blue Prius, where for some reason Tyson is sitting in the back seat.
Yeah.
This was the funniest bit of the episode to me. Why? Why is Tyson sitting in the backseat? Why is Percy sitting shotgun?
He's his son. He's Sally's son. Also, first of all, this is the first time Annabeth is meeting Sally, and I feel like
That's true.
I feel like this is. I was like, wait. I was so excited. Like this, she's meeting Sally for the first time.
Whoa.
And we do kind of fly by that. Wow.
Dang.
She's just one of the kids getting picked up.
But like, I mean, Annabeth, I feel like she's talked about, like, she's mentioned how, like, you know, Percy's mom, blah blah blah. Like, she's like spoken on Sally's, like defended her on Percy's behalf. And I was so ready for this moment when she finally meets like a healthy mother figure to see like the impact. But
yeah, would have been nice to have like just like two lines.
But I guess Percy's just worried now about like Thalia stealing his friend.
The reason why he's in the front seat is so he can be alone.
Yeah, so he can be a girl in a movie.
Yes, contemplating what it's going to mean for Thalia to come back and shoot him with lightning when two equally powerful forces collide.
It's interesting how, like, Thalia, I think for Luke and Annabeth is like completing their trio, but for like Percy, Thalia means like destroying his trio, because that's taking Grover and it's taking Annabeth, and he's alone again with Tyson.
I think that a lot of what this episode does for me is it separates Percy from the broken trio, and it makes Percy feel uniquely alone in his one-on-one with Thalia. Like,
there's so much history, there's so much lore, so much complexity that he just can't relate to. He cannot tap into that.
Final bets on if Thalia is going to like hit him with a lightning bolt as soon as she comes back to
100%.
life. It's a 100 guarantee at this point, right?
Yeah, she's like, who's this white boy, blue-eyed white boy looking at me? Like,
who's fighting Luke?
Next to Annabeth, like, get away from her.
Oh, so exciting. And then the final tag of extreme chronic headache migraine. We have Luke extreme migraine.
Have I like given everything sacrifice? Not your body yet.
Ooh.
I'm sad.
This literally was shot the way that they shoot torture scenes in TV shows about, imagine air quotes here, terrorism. The way that he is pressing the sides of his head and they have this extreme close-up of him, like, real ugly crying.
It was giving for me, like, Rebel Without a Cause, like, the classic, you're tearing me apart, James Dean.
Was anyone else surprised? I mean, okay, we haven't seen episode 8 yet, but I actually feel like they pushed in this episode and potentially in next episode, they've pushed Luke a little bit further than I thought they were even going to in this season. Like, I think that they have pushed this whole, you know, the time for your mercy is over thing. I'm excited given this like Luke mental break, like extreme turning point for him in this episode, what's going to happen in season 3 now to keep him still himself. Because And I guess it's Thalia coming back. You know what? I just keep answering my own questions.
Yeah.
Once Thalia comes back, it's all bets are off. We think that this is a big turning point and we no longer will trust Luke. But once Thalia comes back, we don't know what the heck's going to happen. So I can't wait for episode 8.
Thalia coming back, it's going to be so much fun. So much fun. But it's going to be so weird for Thalia for Annabeth to be closer to her age now.
Yes, that's going to be trippy. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet by anybody that we're going to get more flashbacks in season 3, but I feel them coming. I feel them in my bones.
Frederick, I feel like we have to.
Tamara talked in an interview about Beryl Grace, and I don't know if she meant that there were flashbacks or that was just something they were talking about, like character development wise, but that's I think where I'm getting that from. All right, Luke serving final close-up, and that's it. We're off for the final episode we haven't seen yet.
He's ready to kill Percy, allegedly.
I'm looking forward to seeing a return of our Toby Stevens.
Ah, right.
Final prediction. Will Sally and Poseidon make eye contact in episode 8?
I think she might be Paul's Prius. Maybe.
In her boyfriend's car.
It would be interesting. I don't know. I
mean,
know.
making eye contact isn't what they're known for. Clearly, since last season, they were like sitting parallel without looking to each other. So
there's also a discussion question in our outline about what episode 8 is going to entail for the Battle of Labyrinth, which I think we will talk about next week. Yes, once we've seen the battle, we can have a conversation about how that battle will affect the future battle at Camp Half-Blood and trying to get inside of camp through the labyrinth. What a joyful time. Would anybody like to hit me with some Naughty Award nominations?
I guess Naughty Award for intervention goes for Annabeth. For Luke, you have to stop this.
Naughty Award for best intervention voice. Luke, you have to stop this. Definitely. Yes. I think we should give an Auntie Award, like a scolding, like a naughty scolding to Luke for biggest Holden Caulfield Sound and the Fury crash out.
Yes.
For realizing that your little sister is allowed to make mistakes. Yeah. That's a naughty scolding for you.
I feel like the right thing to round this out then is to do the other like naughty auntie award to the Prius for deftly carrying 4 children around at a moment's notice when you were at the grocery store on vacation, mind you. Did we forget to mention this part that she's at Montauk on vacation with Paul when this is all happening?
Summer vacation romance.
She's abandoning her vacation to go pick up these kids.
Percy better know how much his mom loves him.
What soundtrack do we think played for the rest of the ride to Camp Half-Blood in that Prius?
Hilary Duff, baby. All right, everybody. Make sure you vote on those Naughty Awards so that we can do a fun episode at the end of the season, which we are coming up on once again. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/seaweedbrain. We've got watch-alongs. We're going to have reaction videos. We're going to have so many interviews post-season, so you got to keep tuning in every single Wednesday. And we'll see you all next week. I might be staying up until 3 a.m. to watch the next episode. Thank you so much, Sophia, for being here. Everybody go check out Sophia's Substack, Analysis Paralysis. It'll be linked in our show notes. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.